second week in a row, the FIM Sidecar World Championship is up and running. Back-to-back double race weekends take us to the mid-season phase in the 2018 series. Round 4 comes from the Pannonia ring in Hungary, the country bathed in sunshine, in sharp contrast to a wet weekend in Germany last time out. The first of 2 visits to Germany in 2018 was a 2-race weekend in the Sachsenring, round 3 of the series after a 6-week break in the calendar. Rain shook up the prognosis and the grid, which contributed to an entertaining battle for 4th position in the sprint race. From the 3rd row, Stroyer and Russo could only manage 6th, as their 2018 season continues to stutter. The top 3 show a significant pace advantage out front. Returning to the series after sitting out round 2 in the Slovakia ring, Blackstock and Rosny enjoyed a strong performance and an action-packed race, first battling with Wisson and Hoffer, and then later with Sam and Adam Christie over 4th position. The Christie brothers eventually took the place, putting in their best result today to making significant progress in the championship standings. Meanwhile, out in front, Reeves and Wilkes looked most comfortable in the wet to secure a 3rd win in 4 races since their 2018 comeback. Ben and Tom Birchall in particular struggled with the wet race, beaten on pure pace terms by Päivärinta and Verovainen, who claimed seconds. The Birchall brothers were more competitive though in the gold race, hampered by a wet qualifying, but with an opportunity to recover in the first dry session of the weekend, the number 16 outfit went on the attack. The move on Päivärinta and Verovainen at the end of the opening lap was completed in relatively straightforward fashion, but after twice finishing directly behind Reeves and Wilkes in the opening 2 weekends of the campaign, their chase for top spot was expected to be tougher. A significant pace advantage though gave them the lead on lap 6 that they never surrendered. By contrast, Florian Fairhurst had a weekend to forget, retiring in both the sprint and gold race on both occasions from strong point-scoring positions. Sam and Adam Christie were best of the rest behind the podium trio, Stroyer and Russo struggling with rear tyre wear and falling back dramatically into the path of their closest rivals in the championship standings. First victory of 2018 for Ben and Tom Birchall, who kept up their pace superbly, while other outfits struggled with the long gold race duration. Sam and Adam Christie's overtake on Stroyer and Russo also moves them above Team Stroyer in the championship standings to 5th. Just 4 points cover 5 outfits back to 8th. Blackstock and Rosny's first finishes of the campaign move them to 11th and into a separate battle from 9th position down, arriving in Hungary. As we head to the season's halfway mark, 3 different race winners have emerged as the comfortable favourites in the 2018 title race. Reigning champions Ben and Tom Birchall, 44 racing Päivärinta and Verovainen, and the current series leaders Reeves and Wilkes.
Obviously we're very happy with how things are going, it being that it's our first season on a 600 long bike and completely new chassis, and everything's going pretty much to plan. The racing's been close and good, and we've really enjoyed being back. And we spent a lot of time in the winter. When I realised that we were going to come back and try and win the World Championship, we made sure we put in a real effort in building a good, hopefully a reliable piece of equipment. And at the moment, it's working well. And we were very lucky and unlucky in the first race in Slovakia. We were having a close battle with Pekka, and unfortunately, we had to come in together, and we ended up with more damage. And with John and Benny, really, we would have finished 4th if John hadn't spun off and took Benny with him. So we ended up with 20 points, and yeah, we're thankful for that. We went to Sachsenring, and we knew that Ben and Tom would be really strong there. It's one of Ben's favourite circuits, and he's always been strong at Sachsenring. We knew on Sunday that if everything wasn't right, we had lack of dry track time, and we were lacking a bit from what Ben and Tom's pace, so we had to be realistic and settle for 2nd. And the championship's a bigger picture. And obviously, if we finish 2nd to Ben and Tom in every race from now to the end of the season, then we would win the World Championship by a point. But we will try to win, and if Ben beats us on the day, then he's ridden better than us, and that's the way it goes. But we're here to try and win some races, not just to follow him home.
Despite the dominance of Reeves and Wilkes in the first 5 of 11 2018 races, their rivals cannot be entirely unsatisfied, particularly the 44 racing crew, with Päivärinta and Verovainen combining for the first time. I'm satisfied so far. 3 teams are very close at the top, 2 British teams and ours. This season, Tim Reeves is back, and Sidecars is much better off for it. My bike has improved as well. We've made a step forward, and I'm happy with the speed. But the Birchalls are closing very fast, and Tim is a little bit too strong, so we'll look forward and see what happens. Sometimes you need some good luck. For example, at the Slovakia ring in the sprint race, fighting with Tim Reeves, we were a little bit lucky, but that's racing. I was very happy for Jussi as my new passenger and for the whole team. At the moment, Tim Reeves is too far ahead in terms of points, and that's going to be difficult to get back. But if he has some problems, that would help us, so we'll keep pushing to our maximum. 25 points is a great deal when the teams are so close. It's hard to make up a lot of ground when everything is decided by 1 second. I'm trying my best all the time, but so is Reeves, so he's difficult to beat. Ben and Tom Birchall were the winners of the Sachsenring Gold Race, their first victory after successive defeats at the hands of Reeves and Wilkes. A costly mere 3-point score from race 1 in Slovakia has left the defending champions with work still to do.
We had an electrical fault which plagued us a little bit towards the end of last year and through some testing. It took a while for us to find it, and that really was the start of the things going wrong in that race. As we made our way back through the field, we had a coming together with another rider which caused us to have to stop and make some repairs and carry on. So yeah, we'll definitely look back on that one and say that could be what cost us the championship, but it's not over yet, so we haven't got to think about that. So, yeah, but realistically there's 3 of us that are really close, and you know, it's just down to who's best on the day, I think.
The Pannonia ring became a popular addition to the FIM Sidecar World Championship calendar back in 2015, the teams enjoying the warm welcome and fast-paced circuit. Since then, local fans have witnessed 3 different race winners, coincidentally the top trio in the 2018 World Championship, who will all be hoping to return to the top in the latest edition of the Hungarian round. Just 0.02 of a second separated the top 2 outfits in qualifying, with Ben and Tom Birchall securing their 3rd pole position of the 2018 season, narrowly ahead of Reeves and Wilkes. Completing the front row, almost half a second back from the lead 2 outfits, were Päivärinta and Verovainen. Significant single lap pace advantage again for the top trio compared to the rest of the field. Stroyer and Russo in 4th on the grid, almost 2 seconds behind the Finns ahead of them in qualifying. The withdrawal of Founds and Christie after a fire in practice drops the grid to 13 runners, and with the lowest numbers of the campaign, several teams put in their best qualifying of the season, most notably the returning Grabmuller and Lavarelle in 7th. Appearing on the front 2 rows of the grid for the first time in 2018, Blackstock and Rosny were involved in all of the action on the opening 2 laps of the sprint race. They had a perfect view of Ben and Tom Birchall's drop from 1st to 3rd before they themselves were swallowed up by the pack. Down the inside of them into turn 1, Stroyer and Russo came through to take up the challenge in 4th position. And a strong start for Laurie and Fairhurst, keeping up their momentum through the opening sequence of turns, hauled them up to 5th. Fifth position for Laurie and Fairhurst proved short-lived though, as on lap 2 the number 72 outfit ran wide around turn 2, off the racing line and even touching the grass. Blackstock and Rosny swept safely through, recovering the 5th position they had held on the grid and pulling comfortably clear. Positions 6 to 9 on the grid, separated by minimal margins, Laurie and Fairhurst had done well to break from the pack early on, but they started to slip back into the fight behind them. Whitson and Hoffer from 9th on the grid took 6th position away on lap 5, but having scored in just 1 of the first 5 2018 races with a series of retirements, Laurie and Fairhurst will have been satisfied just to make the finish. Meanwhile, the two outfits that had lined up directly behind the Brits on the grid were fighting over 8th and 9th. Grabmuller and Lavarelle seemingly with the pace in hand to try and chase down Laurie and Fairhurst, but held up behind Sam and Adam Christie. Somewhat ambitious move into turn 10 was seemingly born out of frustration, the two outfits colliding, and the incident only cost Grabmuller and Lavarelle more time as they were left giving chase again. The Delta Racing Team Yamaha were back on the tail of their quarry by lap 8, and this time the opportunity to pass presented itself in more straightforward fashion. Sam and Adam Christie running slightly wide off the apex of turn 5. Their rivals had already been working overtaking lines and took advantage to forcefully make the pass stick for 8th. By now they were too far back to hope to challenge Laurie and Fairhurst. They did gain another position before the finish in somewhat fortuitous fashion. A retirement for Wisson and Hoffer from 6th promoted each of the outfits behind them. At the front of the field, Reeves and Wilkes had eked out a 4-second lead, never really troubled by Päivärinta and Veravainen, and Ben and Tom Birchall unable to match their qualifying pace from behind the Finns in 3rd. So a 4th victory in 6 races for Tim Reeves since his return. Some 30 seconds behind the race winner, a close fight had developed in the closing stages for 4th. Blackstock and Rosny on the tail of Stroyer and Russo for multiple laps, but unable to find enough of an overspeed to come through. Their patience was rewarded though as they got up the inside off the final turn for the final time. A last-ditch pass for their best result of the 2018 season to date. The pair finishing nose to tail, just a 1/10 of a second between them at the checkered flag. Another strong race from Päivärinta and Veravainen, but no outfit has an answer to Reeves and Wilkes in terms of pure pace in 2018. With Ben and Tom Birchall languishing back in 3rd, their gains from a first race victory of the campaign at the Sachsenring Gold Race were immediately undone. Close battles for 4th and also for 6th position on the final lap. Laurie and Fairhurst holding on to equal their best result of the season so far with 6th, ahead of Grabmuller and Lavarelle with a strong 7th position.
Yeah, just did what we could. Not such a good start from pole position, but we battled hard with Pav for a bit, but just didn't quite have enough pace today, so we'll see what we can do for tomorrow.
The race was very good, particularly the first 5 laps. After that, the tyre lost some grip, so it was slippery out there. We're very pleased with 2nd place.
Yeah, it was good really. We got a fantastic start, and I think I just once I knew if we got away, I had to try and break them because I knew otherwise it would be an absolute bum fight. And luckily we got in 2 or 3 really consistently good laps, and it gave us a little bit of a gap and gave us something to work with. And over the moon, really happy to come away with 25 points, and it's just what we need to keep our championship on the rails. It's hopefully going to head for.
Stroyer and Russo move up to 4th position, their highest ranking of the season so far, but have dropped out of contention for the championship podium, over 46 points back from Ben and Tom Birchall. Holding on to that best of the rest tag will be far from easy, with just 20 points separating the group down to 11th. With their 2 nearest rivals taking points from one another, Reeves and Wilkes have converted a quartet of victories into a significant points lead that continues to grow, while their run of dropping just 10 points all season extends. The Hungarian sprint race saw several changes to the championship standings, in behind the top 3 overall. After snatching a 4th position finish on the final turn, Blackstock and Rosny secured their best result of the 2018 campaign so far. Having only scored their first points of the season in the Sachsenring, the number 95 outfit is making up for lost time and now back inside the top 10 on the fringes of the group, fighting for 4th place overall. Small margin clear of the Brits at the moment are Wisson and Hoffer, but a non-finish for the Swiss duo in the sprint race, their 2nd successive retirement, means they now sit in their lowest ranking of the season so far, down in 7th. They were leapfrogged in the overall standings by Remps and Mulholland after the sprint race. The Remps Racing team showing good consistency as one of only 5 teams to have scored at every race this season. Team Stroyer have had an underwhelming 2018 season and are struggling for confidence, almost 50 points back from the top 3. But with Sam and Adam Christie finishing just 8th in the sprint race, Stroyer and Russo moved up to their best ranking of the season so far, 4th. I hope we can improve a little bit today. 4th place is certainly possible, but at the moment we have no chance to make it into the top 3. 3 of the 4 former world champions on the grid, Tim Rees, Pekka Päivärinta and Ben Birchall, have all steered their sidecars to at least one race victory in 2018. But the focus for the moment is on reigning champions Ben and Tom Birchall, with 2 third places in the last 3 races, seemingly outpaced for now by Päivärinta and Verovainen. And problems for the Birchall Racing Yamaha that have plagued them throughout 2018 continued in the pre-race warm-up. After leaving pit lane to lead the front of the queue heading out onto track, the number 16 machine refused to start and they were forced to head back to the pits. Attempts to resolve the problem continued on the grid as the outfits prepared for the gold race. Ben and Tom Birchall arrived on the grid in time to start the race from pole, but the field was cut to 12 when their fellow countryman Team SLR's 72 Yamaha refused to start. A slow start for Päivärinta and Verovainen left them under pressure on the opening lap of the gold race. Blackstock and Rosny looking set to break into the top 3 until their Finnish rivals outdragged them back through for 3rd place on the first turn. Once again, their rivals Reeves and Wilkes had taken the whole shot. The 44 racing team would this time have to work their way past Ben and Tom Birchall before they could hope to challenge for victory. The top 3 remained closely packed until the final turn of lap 2, when their positions changed for the first time since the start itself. Long-standing electrical problems that have plagued Ben and Tom Birchall in 2018 at the sprint race in Slovakia and again prior to the gold race in Hungary reoccurred during the race, seeing them fall back behind Päivärinta and Verovainen. Pulling swiftly into the pits, the Birchall brothers became the first of the championship's lead trio to suffer a non-scoring race and retire. The early progress in the race was made by Wisson and Hoffer. Eager to make up for their sprint race retirement, the Swiss duo again battled through from 9th on the grid, spectacularly passing 2 outfits on lap 3 and firing through to 6th. The first move had been a straightforward inside pass, aided by slipstream at the start of the lap that relegated Grabmuller and Lavarelle to 8th. Still reeling from that loss of 7th position, Grabmuller and Lavarelle saw their race further complicated as they attempted to hunt down the fast-starting Rempson Mulholland, instead spinning and losing a further place to Kimswenger and Lenertz. Having lost 14 seconds following their error, Grabmuller and Lavarelle were now out of position and out of contention for a place in the top 7. 3 seconds per lap quicker than Kimswenger and Lenertz, though. It was only a matter of time before the number 97 outfit swept past to recover 8th. At the front of the field, Päivärinta and Verovainen set the fastest lap of the race on lap 3 and matched the pace of Reeves and Wilkes closely, waiting for an opening. That opportunity presented itself on lap 7. Reeves and Wilkes running a full 2 seconds slower than their previous pace, and Päivärinta and Verovainen showing their typical consistency that has kept them in the championship fight this season. The battle for top spot was only determined after a turn 10 spin for Reeves and Wilkes whilst pushing the new leaders. The number 77 outfit attempting to rejoin the race, but left watching their run of successive podiums end as a flood of other teams streamed past. Included in that group, Blackstock and Rosny, who for a second race in succession found their way past Stroyer and Rousseau. But with 2 of the top 3 out of contention, the pair's latest duel was now over the race's runner-up position. Reeves and Wilkes did manage to rejoin the circuit, albeit almost a lap behind leaders Päivärinta and Verovainen, to take some late race consolation points. The number 77 outfit had dropped to the back of the field and got underway with the task of recovering 35 seconds to the tail of the group. That gap came down decisively, and at around 6 seconds a lap faster than wildcards Palm and Mayers. Once Reeves and Wilkes made it onto the tail of the number 31 outfit, it was swift work to come through for a top 10 position. The move was finally made around the outside of turn 5, hardly a customary passing place, but Reeves and Wilkes were keen to set off in pursuit of the next pair of outfits in 8th and 9th. In the end, they finished just under 2 seconds short of making further progress. Getting revenge for their last lap defeat in the sprint race, Stroyer and Russo lined themselves up to attack Blackstock and Rosny over second position, heading into the 15th and final lap. In podium contention for only the second time in 2018, Team Stroyer's pass reversed the 95's lap 8 overtake and gave them their best result of the campaign to date. Blackstock and Rosny were hardly too disappointed as they secured their first podium of 2018 by holding on to third. But neither could become a fourth different race winner this season, even in somewhat exceptional circumstances, with Päivärinta and Veravainen managing the race, almost 40 seconds clear of the duel behind them. Seemingly comfortable in the end, Päivärinta was a well-deserving victor, despite the problems suffered by his rivals, having set the fastest lap of the race and then passed Reeves and Wilkes for a lead they maintained to the finish. Team Stroyer, meanwhile, opened up over a second on the last lap alone to consolidate the runner-up position and avoid any last-bend disappointments to secure their second podium of the campaign. The second win of the season, meanwhile, for Päivärinta and Veravainen, who are now the only team to have finished in the top 4 at every 2018 race. That consistency and an unusual gold race podium has again brought them back into the picture for overall World Championship success.
From the main building will start in a minute, so please gather all team.
A creditable performance from Grabmuller and Lavarelle, who got close to recovering 6th position in the closing stages and will rue their earlier spin. Likewise, Reeves and Wilkes, who finished a second from 9th and just over 2 seconds from 8th.
It was just a great battle all race long till the last corner. Really enjoyed it. Hope there's more to come.
It was a nice race, really happy with the podium. Lewis did a good job, but I think he had a problem with the rear tyre, so I waited until the last lap, which was the best chance to pass him, and made it happen. The race was really good. We went third on the first lap, but little by little got into the groove and in time passed Reeves to win the race. A non-scoring race for Benetton Purchell seemingly ends realistic hopes of retaining the title with only 4 races remaining and a 46-point deficit to recover. With second position, Stroyer and Russo extend a gap over the rest of the contenders in the battle for 4th position. Päivärinta and Veravainen beat Reeves and Wilkes for only the second time this season, but with the Brits outside of the podium positions altogether, their advantage is more than halved as the Flying Finns take 19 points back with gold race glory.